Hi guys, hi everyone. This is Ashfi, the Bespoke Doctor, and I'm really excited to have Meeta with me today from what was your handle again? Is it
Naturally
nourishing conversations?
Naturally nourished with Meeta.
Naturally nourished with Meeta. Meeta and I met online, as you do, and I love her posts, and she's been interviewing a lot of my kind of good friends actually as well. And then I looked into her, what she does and tapping, and it just sounds really exciting. So, Meeta, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, like mainly how you found tapping and how you got into it?
Yeah, so my background was in PR and communications. I was doing that for about 12 and a half years. We then uprooted and my family moved to the States probably about 6 years ago now, maybe a little bit more than that. And so we went off on this adventure. I thought I was just going to kick back and be a mum, took a little bit of a career break. And then I had this horrific car accident about 3 weeks into our little adventure. And I'm lucky to tell the story now. And fortunately, we managed to, I've got 2 girls and they were both in the car with me. Wow. And we managed to walk away from this horrific scene. My car was a complete write-off. It was a brand new car. Yeah, just horrible. But anyway, I lived to tell the story. And it was just one of those experiences that left me in a lot of mental pain, a lot of physical pain, and really had an impact on how I was feeling. So I went to the doctor. And my doctor said to me, she ran some tests and she just told me that, you know, everything was okay. My blood came back normal. I was just a busy, stressed out mom that had moved to a new country. So I really wasn't happy with that response. And knowing, you know, just a little bit about the world of kind of holistic health, I decided that I was going to go down that path and maybe find some other answers. So that's what I did. And to cut a very long story short, I found the world of holistic medicine, I found a functional doctor, I made changes to my diet, to my lifestyle, and boom, I felt a whole lot better, like a whole lot better. My cortisol levels were very high. My hormone levels were completely out of whack. There was just so much wrong, which was good because it was an explanation for my symptoms. So I felt a lot better. And at that point, I thought, why the hell doesn't the world know about this? And where has this been all my life? So I went back to the books and I decided I wanted to become a health coach. So I trained to become a nutrition and wellness coach, which is what I do also. And during that journey, I also found EFT. I had another little injury in the name of a head injury, which obviously catapulted a whole host of brain symptoms because of the car accident. And at that point in my life, I did have a lot under my belt in terms of knowledge. And so that's when EFT was introduced to me. And again, I had an amazing, incredible experience with EFT, life-changing, I would say, specifically about getting back into the car, which is where there was a lot of anxiety. I lived in the States, right? There was no choice. I had to get back in the car. I couldn't get on a London bus and get my kids to school. And so, you know, I used EFT and I just saw how quickly and how effective it was. And again, I was like, okay, I need this tool under my belt. And so today that's what I do. I bring, you know, the world of wellness and particularly EFT as a stress management tool to people.
So what is EFT? Because people know this as different things, and tell us a little bit about the science, especially for me. I'm really curious to know, which is why when we had our initial conversation, I was like, I don't want to know now. I want to know a little bit. Tell me a little bit about, what is EFT? What other words is it known as? What is it similar to? How does it work?
Yeah, so EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. That's the official term, but a lot of people know it as...
That sounds amazing. Emotional freedom. Can you imagine? Emotional technique.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot better
than... Yeah, it does sound a lot better than tapping, but most people refer to it as tapping. And the reason is because it works in exactly the same way as acupuncture. If you're familiar with acupuncture, where they're putting needles inside of you, works in exactly the same way. But instead of using needles, we're using our fingers to tap on specific points on the face and the body. And when we do this tapping, we are activating meridian points. So again, back to that kind of Chinese medicine, these meridian points, which are energy pathways in our body. And we are activating these points to allow for the energy to flow freely from our body. So in Chinese medicine, they say if you've got a trauma or a sickness or you're in pain, there's a kink in your energy system. So imagine like a garden hose with a kink in it. And by tapping, we are releasing that kink, allowing the energy to flow freely. So that's kind of, you know, it's a blend of ancient Chinese medicine and modern psychology. So that's kind of the you know, the Chinese medicine element. If we talk about the modern psychology and the rewiring of the brain, which is also really, really interesting, because when we are tapping, and this is a Harvard study that was done some time ago, when we are tapping on these points, we are decreasing the arousal of the amygdala, which is in our brain.
Wow.
And the amygdala is our fire, for those that don't know, it's the fire alarm of our brain, and that sort of triggers that fight or flight response.
We process emotions in our amygdala as well, don't we? Quite a lot.
Exactly. It's the emotional center of the brain.
Right.
And when we tap, so the amygdala is the fight or flight response. And when we think of a trigger, a negative experience, you have that feeling, and that is your amygdala firing up. So when we are thinking of these negative experiences and tapping on at the same time, which is decreasing this arousal. So at this point, the brain is getting two signals. It's like, right, I'm in fight or flight. Hang on a minute. No, you're trying to calm me down. Unfortunately, and amazingly, the calming signals takes precedence. So your brain calms down and this arousal decreases.
Wow.
So that's where the amazing thing is, because something like, for example, I use my experience as a car accident, you know, just the thought of getting into a car or getting into a new car was very, very triggering for me. So using EFT, just the thought of it, while I was...
Sorry to interrupt. Like when you said it was very triggering, what would actually happen to you when you were thinking about getting into a car? What were you feeling?
So it was complete anxiety across my chest, anxiety in my belly, just the whole feeling that I'm going to get in this car and I'm going to have another car accident. Wow. And I'm going to die. Basically, really? It was a fear. Yeah, it was a horrific fear, which anyone that has experienced something like that will know. And so by tapping on these points while thinking and talking about these and processing with a practitioner, processing that fear, I no longer had that emotional charge, to the point where I was able to then get in a new car without actually even thinking about it. So getting into a car is just something that you just do. It's like making a cup of tea, right? It's not, there's no fear there. There's no anxiety. I got in this car. It was a brand new car. I drove off, and it was only about 30 seconds, maybe a minute into the drive where I thought, hang on a minute. I wasn't triggered. What the hell just happened? And, you know, therein lies the beauty of tapping and EFT. So that's a little bit of the, you know, the two elements of the science behind it. Extremely, extremely powerful technique.
So I want to really go back to this car thing, because to me, you know, it's a really great example, I think, for people just to really be able to imagine you. So you're walking to your car, for example, your new car. You're feeling like your heart's going, maybe a bit of nausea, maybe a bit of sweating, maybe your tummy's going a little bit crazy, classical signs of anxiety. And you're like, whoa, right, forget this. I'm going to start tapping. And you're tapping like there by your car. And how long are you tapping for? Like minutes or seconds or...
So, yeah, so this particular instance, I had worked with a practitioner. And this is how powerful it was. I'd worked with a practitioner probably twice, the 2 1-hour sessions. During those sessions, I was working on other emotional aspects and things that were going on. But the car element and the car anxiety was probably about 15 minutes for each of those sessions, probably no more than that. Wow. So let's say half an hour of therapy, let's say. And before I went to go and pick up my car, I didn't do any tapping. I maybe took some deep breaths just to calm down because I was feeling, you know, a little bit at unease, but I didn't do any tapping at that point. And then managed to get to the car and drive off. Now, that was obviously in kind of a clinical setting, but you can also use EFT just for yourself, you know, to kind of self-soothe. And it's something that you can do before a meeting, before a test, before you're about to get on stage. You know, it's amazing for, and it's not just for, you know, anxiety. It's great for pain relief. It's great for phobias. It's great for weight loss, believe it or not, and cravings, because all of that, if you think about all of those elements, it's very versatile. And people say, well, how can you use it for so many different things? Well, if you think about all of those elements, there's an element of stress in all of them. So cravings, classic example. We're stressed, we'll reach for the chocolate, we'll reach for the glass of wine, you know, and that is really the stress response. That's your body telling you that you don't feel safe. And so you're going to reach for something that's going to give you that comfort. Yeah. So there's so many elements that you can use it in, and we'll, I'm sure, go through a tapping round together, but you don't have to tap for very long. That's the beauty of it, is that you, in a matter of minutes, you can go from feeling like, you know, totally anxious, in the funk, to feeling calm and just, yeah, more grounded, more present.
Minutes. I mean, that's
minutes.
Amazing,
minutes.
Isn't it? When you think about how we are managing anxiety in, you know, conventional medicine with these really strong pills that affect the whole system, that mess up your whole hormonal issues, that mess up your gut microbiome, and they take months to have even a small effect, if they have an effect. Whereas we're talking about a completely safe, correct me if I'm wrong, there are no side effects for this.
I mean, the only side effect you would have is that it doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Yeah, I was going to say, if that is the worst thing that's going to happen, that it doesn't work, you can use this on children, you can use this on newborns, you can use this on elderly, you can use this on people who are in wheelchairs or disabled. You can use this in people who are in comas, possibly, because this is about redirection, right? It's all, or clarifying the channels, as you say. How is it like how is it different to what's the difference between acupuncture and acupressure, and then acupressure and tapping?
So with tapping, it is the acupressure points. It's the same thing, effectively. The difference is with acupuncture, you are using those needles. And obviously it's a very, you know, it works in exactly the same way in getting that flow, getting the state of flow of energy back to balance within your body. So the concept itself is exactly the same. The only difference with tapping and EFT is that it brings in this, you know, psychological element where you are actually using your brain to focus on the negative, to focus on the stress. So you'll see when we do a tapping, so you'll see when we do a tapping round, is that we will focus on the negative, the stress. I feel angry, I feel stressed, I feel upset, I feel anxious because, and we do address that. So there is an element of talk therapy while you're doing the tapping. And the one thing I say to, you know, all my clients as well, is that what you can get through in an hour of tapping can take months in talk therapy, you know, because at the end of a 1 hour session, my clients are like, whoa, I didn't even know we were going to go there. I didn't even know that I was carrying so much of that, you know. And it could be something simple. It could be like an argument with your loved one, and it was like, yeah, I'm over it, but are you? And then it brings up all of the emotions that you were carrying. So it's so effective. I mean, there's so much science behind it as well now, and there's a lot of clinical trials. Like EFT now is becoming quite a popular probably is a little bit extreme, but it's becoming more well known in the mainstream. And there's probably probably about 250 clinical trials done on EFT. What was the worldwide?
You started mentioning a Harvard trial. What was that about?
Yeah, so they do all of these. They're doing them worldwide. There's a university in Australia called Bond University, which has done a lot of the research behind emotional freedom technique. And one of the findings, I think, was an hour of group tapping can reduce your cortisol levels by 43%. 1 hour.
No.
Yeah. Also within the hour, you can decrease your anxiety by 40% and increase your happiness by, I think it's like 31% or close to a third. Like these numbers are phenomenal, you know, and it's kind of one of those try it and then you'll believe it, you know, like
I
just got to give it a go.
There are no side effects. So for me, as you probably know from my content on social media, like one of the things that stresses me out, upsets me, gives me sleepless nights the most is the lack of understanding from clinicians about the long-term effects of pills. Like, you know, SSRIs, which are like I would say every third person I see is on some kind of antidepressant. And the long-term side effects are insane. Yep. If you ask a classically trained GP, you know, what's the big deal about an SSRI, they will quote you the same nonsense that I've been hearing for 40 years, 30 years. And you're like, no, have you seen the effects on the gut microbiome? You know, months later, have you seen the effects on the natural serotonin 1 year later? Have you seen, you know what I mean? Like, so I get very, very passionate about things that have no side effects and do no harm, because that is the first oath we take as doctors, is do no harm.
Do no harm. Yeah, exactly.
Harm already. And drugs, I'm sorry, like, you know, they do have a place. I always, people go, what are your thoughts on SSRIs? And because I am trying to be a bit more balanced, I'm like, look, if it works for you, who am I to say that it hasn't worked for you? But I want you to really ask, has it worked? Or has it just numbed you? Has it made you flat? Because that's what I've noticed with most people on SSRIs, is that they're neither depressed anymore, but neither are they elated or kind of have
feeling full of joy.
And that's not an SSRI having worked. You also mentioned that it helps with pain, and that was something that really got me excited. How does it?
This is the amazing thing with that, because again, so we focus on the pain. You know, I've got a pain in my knee, my ankle, I've got a headache. Headache is a great one. And generally speaking, when you are in pain, it is related to some kind of emotional there's an emotional component going on as well. So if someone's in pain, let's use a headache as an example. It was like, okay, when did this headache begin? What was going on at the time? And you would do this as a doctor as well. You know, like if it's, you know, well, what was going on at the time in your life? You know, what were the stresses? Make some kind of connection. But this is a real, and I've used this with my girls. In fact, my daughter had a headache yesterday or the day before.
How old is this daughter you're talking about?
She is 9. 9. And she had a headache. She'd had a headache the day before, kind of on and off. And I'm, you know, all about the natural. So, you know, I had some peppermint oil, which I rubbed on her temples and the back of her head, gave her a little massage. She felt a little better. She went off to bed. And then the next day she had another headache. She's going to kill me for telling this story because she hates it when I tell these kind of stories, but it's okay.
I won't tell.
Yeah, she's not on Instagram anyway. She's not on social media. So she had this headache and she came to me and she said, my head's still hurting and I can't get sleep. So I said, okay, would you like to do some tapping? And she kind of reluctantly, knowing that it works, you know, but said, yeah, okay, I'll do some tapping. So we were tapping, and initially we were just tapping on the pain. I have a headache. This pain in my head, it's throbbing, it's, you know.
You're tapping while she's talking? You're tapping
while we were talking. And then I said to her, maybe you're stressed or worried about something. And she said, no, I'm not. No. And I knew immediately, her response was so quick. I knew that she was so
defensive as well.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, all right. Let's I said, but you know, we've been through quite a lot. We've just moved house, for context of the listeners. We've just moved house, 3 houses in 1 year. It's been pretty stressful, right? So I said, you know, we've literally just moved. We're surrounded by boxes. And I get that it doesn't feel quite like warmly and like a home at the moment, but it will. We'll get there. And I said, maybe that's something that's bothering you. Floods of tears. Floods of tears. And I'm like, okay, let's just keep tapping. While she was upset, we were just tapping, saying, I feel upset. I feel like, you know, I miss my old home. I miss my friends and all of this. And so we carried on tapping. I'm telling you, this was probably no more than 5 minutes, this whole procedure, this whole experiment. And afterwards, she gave me a hug and I said, how's your headache? And she said, it's completely gone.
Wow.
And that's not the first time. I've used it with my other daughter. I've used it on back pain for my husband. I've used it with clients. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's phenomenal.
Tell us, and so how would somebody know, because you were telling us the story and you're like, and you're tapping the cheek and you're tapping your chin or your nose, and I'm like, oh, isn't it like specific spots?
Yeah, so like, there are specific points, and I can do you want me to talk you through the points?
Let's do, like the most. So I think I love the idea of headache. A lot of my audience, you know, they have children themselves, so some of your most common things that you've used in your personal life. Yeah.
So the wonderful thing about tapping and EFT, how it's evolved, is that you can use the same points. You don't have to use, you can use all the same points. So I'll teach you the basic recipe, as they like to call it. And then from there, you can use it for a headache, you can use it for a phobia, you can use it for stress, you can use it for anxiety. I mean, it's just, once you know the formula, you can just go ahead and use it. And the great thing is that if you don't remember all of the points, even if you just remembered 2 or 3, you could still use those 2 or 3 points, or if they resonate with you more, and you'll still feel the benefits. So that's the amazing
people could probably
thing.
Also jump online and look at an image or something on Google Images,
yes,
or tapping points or something, if they wanted to.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'll show you the tapping points.
Yes.
And so the first one is called the karate chop point. So imagine you were doing a karate chop, hand up, and then the meaty part of your hand over here.
Yeah.
So you want to use the other hand, 2 or 3 fingers, doesn't really make a difference. And you're just going to tap gently. So it's like a gentle tap. You can feel it. It's nothing that's too hard or aggressive, not too soft, but just a nice gentle tap. And people always ask, how many times should I tap at each point? Now, I hate that answering that, because then you're focused on how many times you should be tapping. It's about 7 or 8, but I really just want to focus on you tapping on that point rather than going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The next one is called the eyebrow point, which is just where your eyebrow begins.
Should you do any particular hands, or not a big deal?
So you can use both hands. You can use any one hand. People tend to use their more dominant hand, but you can use both. Some people say, oh, I need it to be even on both sides, so I need to use both hands. So, you know, whatever takes your fancy. So it's the eyebrow point over here, just where your eyebrow begins.
The middle of the eyebrows, where I used to have my eyebrow.
Just do it, exactly. And then the side of the eye, which is where the end of the eyebrow, in between the end of the eyebrow and the temple. Okay. And the great thing is with this, you can't get it wrong, you know, even if you're in the region. Then the next point is under the eye, which is, you'll feel a little bone under your eye, and that's tapping point there.
Infradiaphragmatic arch, no, infraorbital arch, sorry.
Oh, there you go. There's a technical term for it. And under the nose and above the mouth, under the chin, under the mouth even, chin point it's called. And then collarbone point, which is come down to your collarbone and just across 1 inch, and just tap there. And when I do this with children, I kind of do like a gorilla thump, which is really nice. It's nice when you're angry and you want to let out some stress and aggression, like it's just, I'm annoyed. So it's a nice one to do that with children. And then 2 more. So we've got under the arm. So armpit about 4 inches down, bra line for women, or 4 inches down from the armpit. There you go. Yeah, perfect. Just there. And then the last one is like the monkey point, top of the head, which is just, which again is really, really fun. And when I do this with kids in classrooms as well, like, you know, so it's a really fun thing to do. So that's like the basic recipe, and that's the 9 points. Now I'll talk you through a tapping round if you're up for it.
Please, definitely. So, and this tapping round, you'd say would be good for something specific, or?
Well, I think for this purpose, we'll just use like a generic, I'm feeling stressed, and people can focus on that.
Perfect.
And then have the experience, see what you think, give it a try, have an open mind. That's all we want from this conversation, right, Ashby? We just want people to have an open mind, give it a try, see if you feel a shift, because it's just another tool in your toolbox. Yeah.
Another free, safe tool. I love things that are free. You know, like,
yeah, exactly. It's like breathing. It's like breath work. You know, it's so effective. It's just free. Exactly. So I'm not, again, just as a disclaimer, we're not claiming to treat or diagnose or cure, but this is another tool. It's another great tool and technique that you can have in your toolbox for relieving stress, anxiety, and just give it a try. That's all we say.
Exactly.
So we will go through the points. I'm going to get you to just copy as I am tapping and repeat, be my echo voice. So just repeat after me when I say something. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, so we always like to begin with something called just trying to assess where we are with our stress. It's called the SUDS, your subjective units of distress, is what it's called. It's a technical term, but so for this purpose, we're just gonna just tune it. Close your eyes for a second. Just take a nice, deep breath in and breathe out through your mouth. And just tune in to your level of stress at the moment. How you feel on a scale of 1 to 10, if you had to give it a score, and maybe it's something stressful that's happened this morning, this week, or just general stress that you're feeling in your life at the moment. So 1 being, I feel pretty calm, I feel okay. And 10 being, I feel very, very stressed, high levels of distress. And you don't have to say it out loud, just give yourself a personal score and just know where you're at. And then when you're ready, just open your eyes and we're going to start tapping. All right, so we are going to start with the karate chop point, and we are going to say some statements here 3 times, and then we'll move across to the other points, and then we'll assess how we're feeling at the end. So you just repeat after me. So we're going to start tapping here. Even though I feel a little stressed out right now. And maybe a little burnt out. I accept what's going on in my life. And how I feel right now. Even though I've experienced a lot of stress recently. I accept who I am and how I feel. And I'm choosing to do something about it. Even though I might be a little skeptical about this tapping. I honor how I'm feeling. And I choose to have an open mind. And we're going to move through to the points. So just follow my lead. So stressed. Feeling so stressed. All this stress in my body. Locked in my nervous system. Maybe it's showing up physically. Even my body is talking to me. All this stress. The endless responsibilities. To-do lists and tasks. Constant comparison to others. Feeling like I'm not doing enough. It's all too much. All this stress. It's safe to let it go. All the emotions that I've been bottling up. The anger. The frustration. The hopelessness. The helplessness. Any shame. Any guilt. So many emotions. Letting it all go now. From every cell of my body. Forgiving anyone. Contributing to these emotions. And forgiving myself. For holding on to them.
holding on.
It's safe to let them go.
It's safe to let them go.
My body will thank me for it.
My body will thank me for it.
Dear body.
Dear body.
Thank you for the messages and signals.
Thank you for the messages and signals.
I hear them loud and clear.
I hear them loud and clear.
It's time to let them go.
It's time to let them go.
And I assure you, that right now, right here, I'm safe.
I'm safe.
I think I might be feeling a little clearer now.
I think I might be feeling a little clearer.
Maybe a little lighter.
Maybe a little lighter.
I choose to feel calm and focused.
I choose to feel calm and focused.
I choose to feel safe in every cell of my body.
I choose to feel safe in every cell of my body.
I choose to love myself enough.
I choose to love myself enough.
To set boundaries and honor me.
To set boundaries and honor me.
I choose to nourish my body.
I choose to nourish my body.
With what it needs to thrive.
With what it needs to thrive.
And I choose to prioritize rest.
And I choose to prioritize rest.
To recharge and heal my body.
To recharge and heal my body.
And I know that by repeating these actions, I am becoming a better version of myself.
I am becoming a better version of myself.
Because I am worthy.
Because I am worthy.
Because I am loved.
Because I am loved.
Because I am enough.
I am enough.
And just hold your heart center, close your eyes. Take a really lovely, long, nourishing, deep breath in. And breathe out through your mouth. And keeping your eyes closed, just tune into how you're feeling. You may be feeling emotional or tingly or just lighter or different. Everyone has a different experience. But with your eyes closed, just go back to that scale that we began with, that stress level. What number are you at now? Are you the same? Have you changed? Has it gone up? Has it gone down? No judgment. Did you feel a shift? And just acknowledge and be grateful for this practice today and taking the time for yourself. We weren't tapping for very long at all, just a few minutes. Just notice the shifts that you might be feeling in your body. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes and welcome back.
So I'm not going to lie. I've woken up today. I've had a very good sleep score. I'm on day 2 of my period. I'm very weird. When I'm on my period, my emotions are great. I'm very positive. I'm full of energy, which is unusual.
Oh, wow. I want some of that.
Most women are like, I don't. Yeah, I had a tiny bit of cramping yesterday, but that's probably because I had a pizza the night before as opposed to the period. And I've exercised today. I've had a lovely morning. So what I'm saying is I feel indifferent right now because I think my starting place was amazing. But just saying all of that stuff whilst we were tapping was for me a lovely little mantra or way of doing it, because it's I love it when, because we're go, right, in today's society. So I love it when you can combine a couple of healing techniques at the same time. So, I do my red light therapy, red light, photo. And I do that whilst I do deep breathing. Or
I do too. Yeah.
Chanting, or I do Oms, or I do Gayatri Mantra. So I just like to try and multitask, even with my that is probably one of the things I love. I'm gonna go back over what you said and probably write it down or something, because I want my daughter to go. Nana has quite a hard time for millions of reasons, forming friendships and at school and stuff like that. So she often cries a lot at school, which breaks my heart when sometimes she's like, "Mommy, I cried today," and I'm like. So I'm going, because I've tried to teach her about deep breathing, but it's a bit too still for someone like my kid. This is more. So I'm really looking forward to because it's actually very memorable as well, you know, the way you're doing
exactly. It's quite intuitive once you learn it, and especially for kids, it gives them a sense of control. Like I feel like when I'm in the classroom, it's very empowering for them, because it gives them a tool. It's like, okay, I can do this, and I call it their superpower when I'm in the classroom. You know, it's pitching it to the audience, but it is their superpower. And I've been in classrooms. I've been in my daughter's classroom, and she will also, with friendship struggles, you know, it's that age, but she will say to her friends, because I've actually been in her classroom too, she will say, shall we tap on this? Let's tap on this together. And the teachers fed back to me and said, so we were all there and we were all trying to, you know, come to an agreement on what had happened, and there we all were, just tapping and tapping away these emotions, and you know, everyone was feeling something different. So it's wonderful to use with kids. Another great technique, even if you don't want to use any words, and you think, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I don't really know what to say, like I felt a shift when she did it, but I don't know what I'm going to say, and if I'll say the right thing, is to just not even tap on the points, but it's called touch and breathe. So you literally just touch the points and you take a deep breath at each point. So you go, breathe in, and we breathe out through our mouth, and then we move on to the next point. Breathe in and breathe out.
And you're putting pressure though, right? You're not just touching, you are putting
very, very gentle, very, very gentle. So you're not pressing hard or anything, just enough to feel it. Again, under the eye. And we tend to just use the face points for this one. Breathe in, breathe out, and then under the nose. And we know that if you have a longer exhale, you can really get yourself into that parasympathetic, that rest and digest. So aim for a longer exhale when you're doing this, under the chin. And breathe out. And then just finishing off at the heart center, breathing in and breathing out. And it's just a lovely, nourishing little reset. It's just 60 seconds, didn't even take us that long, but it's great. Kids, I teach it to my mum, adults, you know, any age. It's just a great technique.
You mentioned going into schools. Is that part of something that you provide? Like, part of your services, your paid services?
Yeah.
Do you consult for schools and corporates?
Yeah, I do. So I work across the board. So I work individually, one-on-one like this over a Zoom session. I also go into corporate organizations and do corporate well-being and talk a lot about a stress resilience toolkit. And I give them a whole set of tools, tapping included. And these days it's looking like a Zoom session. So you've got, 30 faces on Zoom, all tapping away, some a bit skeptical, some not, but we do breathing techniques. And I talk a lot about the diet, and I talk a lot about gut health. So bringing in all elements and how you can help with stress.
Yeah.
Then I also go into schools and I do mindfulness and meditation sessions. Amazing. And that's just very quick classroom sessions, 20 minutes, kind of 20 to 30 minutes in and out, get them doing some deep breathing, get them doing the tapping, which they love. They just absolutely, that's one of my favorite places to be, because they're just so open-minded. It doesn't even look weird to them, they're like,
you don't have all the skepticism of adults, like, honestly.
No,
I love it. I love how society is not skeptical of all these pharmaceuticals, but they're skeptical of safe things like tapping. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that today. Meeta, I'm going to call it a day now. I think that's just been incredibly helpful. Just remind us what your all your social media handles are, how people can get hold of you if they want to learn more or obviously meet you. I'm on Naturally Nourished with Meeta.com is my website. Naturally Nourished with Meeta on Instagram. I've also got a Facebook group with the same name if you want to join. And I'm also on LinkedIn, where I do share a little Wellness Wednesday tip every Wednesday. That's great.
If you want to connect with me, you can connect with me in any of those handles. I do a free consultation and discovery call just to tell you a little bit more about what I do and if you think it would be a good fit. But yeah, that's me. Get in touch. I'd love to meet you. That's great. Thank you so much, Meeta, for being here today. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to trying lots and lots of tapping with myself, with my daughter. I wonder if it works on dogs.
They probably
so there I know a lot
but...
of people have been using it on dogs. I know nothing about working with dogs and EFT. I hold my hand up to that, but I know that there's I know people have had some success, especially with horses as well.
That doesn't surprise me at all, with the horse.
Yeah,
at all.
yeah. So yeah, it's just a fascinating technique, and I would urge everyone to just give it a try. See what you think.
Please do it. As you know, as I said again, as a doctor here, if it's a choice of a pill or tapping and yoga and talking therapy and all this just healthy, safe stuff, come on, let's make the safer option, please.
Yeah, and you won't be the only one, because the likes of Russell Brand, Fern Cotton, Madonna, I think even Prince Harry was on Oprah the other day talking about tapping, and there was a little video of him tapping. So yeah, I mean, and they've all had traumas, they've all had experienced traumas and setbacks in their own ways and in their own lives. So yeah, it's getting out there. It's getting a little bit more mainstream.
Thank God for the celebs, eh? What would we do without?
I know, a little bit of celeb support.
Absolutely. All right, my love. Well, as I said, I'm just going to stop the recording now. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for watching.